Welcome to the MOOC course on Public Financial Administration. Today in this module, we are going to have a good and in-depth discussion on the Finance Commission of India. The Finance Commission of India is actually a constitutional body, meaning it is mentioned in the Constitution of India. So, as you can see, the Finance Commission is mentioned very clearly in Article 280 of the Indian Constitution. Now, the members and the entire commission is appointed by the President of India. That is the first thing that we should all remember, and we have one Finance Commission for the entire country. The role of Finance Commission has been parallel to the Planning Commission till the year 2014. Now, since 2014, the Planning Commission has been replaced by a new body called the Niti Aayog. I am sure you all will have studied about Niti Aayog also. And the Finance Commission plays a very major role in shaping the tax devolution structure in India. Public financial administration discusses many facets with regard to finance, the running of the financial administration in the country. Now, when we discuss about union executive, when we discuss about union legislature, one of the important components of public finance in India is the Finance Commission of this country, a constitutional body established every 5 years by the Honorable President of India, has a lot of recommendations on augmenting resources. The report is laid before the Parliament, before both the Houses of Parliament, by the Honorable President of India, and a lot of discussions takes place. India has so far had 15 finance commissions since the inception of the Constitution in 1950. Now, currently we have the 15th Finance Commission, which was the last one constituted, as you can see, in November 2017, and the recommendations of the 15th Finance Commission provide the recommendations for the financial year. I mean, you must have heard of the academic year, we celebrate the calendar year, and we have to go by what is called as the financial year for 2021-22 till 2025-26. So, for these block of 5 years, the recommendations given by the 15th Finance Commission holds good. So, going on, let us try to understand the composition of the Finance Commission. As you can see, we have one chairman along with 4 additional members in the Finance Commission, who are all appointed by the President of India, and they serve for about 5 years. We will see the duration also, and usually they are eligible for reappointment. It does not mean that the members who are in the previous Finance Commission are not eligible for appointment again in the next Finance Commission. That does not matter. It is not an inhibiting factor also. So, as you can see, the members may also be reappointed, usually for a term of 5 years. We see that the Finance Commission is reconstituted. So, a chairman along with 4 additional members serve the office. We are now going to discuss what are the qualifications, who are these people, what qualifications do they have to have if they are going to be appointed to one of the highest constitutional bodies in this country. For the chairman, general requisite is he should be a public affairs expert, someone who is well aware with the working of the public financial system and who is well aware with regards to the public affairs of this country. With regard to the members, the Indian Constitution specifically provides for a clear guideline on who can be appointed as the members of the most important constitutional body, one of the most important constitutional body called as the Finance Commission of India. So, Article 280 and 281 very clearly classifies the entire process. So, as you can see, some of the qualifications are very explicitly provided for us, and the first qualification is the person should be qualified or should be a High Court judge. So, a judge, a sitting judge of the High Court, or someone who can be appointed as a sitting judge of the High Court. That is one of the first qualifications. And second, we have a person who has good knowledge, thorough knowledge, more like a subject expert on finance and accounts of the government. That is a very important qualification for the second member. And with regard to the third member who can be appointed to the Finance Commission, he should have very wide experience with regard to the financial matters and the financial administration process with regard to our country's public finance system. And with regard to the fourth member, ideally someone with a good sound knowledge and footing in economics is what the constitution prescribes. As you can see, general observation, we have now laid out the various qualifications that are required for persons who are qualified to be appointed as members in the Finance Commission. Now, what we have to understand is, just look at the slide, just have a look at the various points which are given here. Now, if you see the points, they have covered the legal angle, they have covered the financial angle, and they have also covered the economic angle. Now, this is what public finance is all about, isn't it? This is what you are going to study in the various modules in this course. Now, next we are going to see how these members may be disqualified. Generally, for any constitutional body or any statutory body or any extra constitutional body, you not only have qualifications, you also have certain disqualifications. It is very important to understand what are some of the disqualifications with regard to the chairman and members of the Financial Commission. Now, as you can see, if they are found to be of unsound mind, number one. Number two, if they may have committed some kind of a heinous act, or if they have some kind of conflict of interest, they may be disqualified immediately. So, these are some of the procedures for disqualification laid down with regard to the members of the Finance Commission. Now, let us try to understand the role of the Finance Commission with regard to the functioning of the Finance Commission. Now, the Constitution has provided certain guidelines on how the functions, the duties, the powers of the Finance Commission are to be laid out with regard to our public financial system. As you can see, some of the points, the first and foremost point for us is, how does the Finance Commission contribute to the shaping of India's fiscal federalism? You must have studied about fiscal policy of India. You must have studied about the monetary policy of India. Now, monetary policy of course comes under the realm of the Reserve Bank of India. I am sure you will be studying about that in the various modules. Now, with regard to fiscal policy, India though is not a federal country, mind you, again we have to try to understand that India is not a proper federation. We have adopted the model of Canada, where we have a unitary structure with some federal features. That is how Indian polity works. That is the beauty of our constitution. In this regard, the fiscal federalism structure of our country needs to be shaped by a good sound public financial network. That is one of the primary functions of the Finance Commission. Now, secondly, if you see, some of the recommendations of the Finance Commission mainly focus on tax devolution. Now, what is tax devolution? In layman terms, for anybody who is trying to understand, public finance system, tax devolution is nothing but distribution of revenue between the various states, union territories and the Union of India. Now, the income generated through various sources, the income tax, all that we pay to the government, the GST, all the resource forms the base for public finance. Now, when we use the word public before finance, it literally means the second point on your slide here. So, the finance is for the entire country. To run the entire country, the budget is based out of the public financial system. So, how do you distribute revenue between the various state governments that we have in India? We have nearly 28 states and we have nearly 8 union territories. So, how do you recommend? What kind of an income structure that you recommend? All these have to be laid out by the Finance Commission of India. Now, the third point for us is, they can also provide advice, they can provide guidelines on how to augment resources. Now, there are various issues related to public finance, governance issues, development issues, growth issues, various dimensions are there. The Finance Commission also has to play an advisory role. We will also be discussing this in a very detailed manner in another module again, but please do remember, these are some of the functions and role of the Finance Commission. Now, we are going to discuss what are the various functions of Finance Commission. So, what do they actually do? Beyond advising, beyond talking about public finance, we need to understand what are the basic functions of the Finance Commission in this country. Now, if you see the slide, the most prominent function of the Finance Commission is to provide recommendations to the Honorable President of India. So, what do they provide recommendations on? So, let us have a look. Tax distribution, the structure, the model on which tax has to be distributed between the central and the various state governments are taken up based on the recommendations of the Finance Commission of India. Secondly, they have to talk about certain principles, financial principles based on which special grants in aid can be provided to states which may request. The center government may feel that this particular state requires some kind of a special grants. So, these additional grants in aid go beyond the first point, that is the tax distribution structure. So, maybe a newly formed state, maybe a northeastern state, maybe a big famine has come in a particular state. So, that particular year, in that particular block of 5 years, a few states may require some additional grants, maybe a special project is going to be taken up, maybe they require support from the central government. So, these kind of proposals, these kind of considerations, various economic, social and political considerations go into the deciding of the grants in aid, which are charged from the Consolidated Fund of India. Thirdly, any other matter that the Honorable President of India, who is the appointing authority of the Finance Commission, may provide guidelines, may ask the Finance Commission to provide recommendations also. Now, another important function which was not there in the original constitution was added by the 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act of 1992. Now, what does this particular amendment have to do? Many of you who may be civil service aspirants, who may be interested, may be undergraduates, may be postgraduates who have generally signed on to this course may already be aware that this is nothing but the Panchayati Raj and Municipalities Amendment, which was inserted in our article constitution after the amendment in the year 1992. Now, what does this have to do with Finance Commission, the module that we are studying now? The point is, the Finance Commission was provided with a space, the space to support the resources, how to augment the resources of panchayats and municipalities. Now, this was enabled by the Amendment Act of 1992, the 73rd and 74th Amendment Act of 1992, which provided way for providing constitutional status to the Panchayat Raj institutions at the gram level and to the municipalities at the urban local governance level. Next, we are going to discuss about the report of the Finance Commission. Now, every 5 years we have already studied, the Finance Commission comes up with a report. They provide a report to the Honorable President of India, who is the appointing authority. They have to submit the report to the Honorable President of India. The President then provides the report to be laid before the Parliament, that is the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. So, then the report is studied by the Parliament. It could go to various subcommittees, it could go to joint parliamentary committees. Both the houses discuss the various recommendations of the Finance Committee recommendations, the advices given, the guidelines given by them, the tax devolution structure given by them. So many dimensions are there in the Finance Commission report. Now, first thing that you should understand while you are studying public finance administration is that the recommendations are only advisory in nature. So, they are not compulsory, they are not mandatory provisions. The government, the Parliament has the option to either take it up, to dilute them a little bit, and also they may not even accept some of the recommendations provided. But we should also understand that the Finance Commission recommendation body is also indirectly appointed by the government. The Union government plays a role in the appointment of the Finance Commission as a constitutional body. It is on the recommendation of the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers that this body is appointed by the President of India. So, it is an advisory body. That is the most important takeaway in this module, in this particular part. So, now let us have a look at some of the members of the 15th Finance Commission. As you can see in the slide, so we have Mr. N.K. Singh, a very senior person who has been the chairman of the 15th Finance Commission. We have Mr. Arvind Mehta, who was the secretary of the Finance Commission, and you can see the 4 members. We just saw the qualifications and disqualifications of the 4 members and how they are selected. So, you can see in the picture the current governor of Reserve Bank of India. He was even awarded a big international honor by the international banking community for his role as a head of the Reserve Bank of India and how he has managed the affairs as the governor of the Reserve Bank of India. He has been given a star rating as the topmost, most trustworthy lead banker in the world. So, that is a big honor that he has received very recently. I am sure you must have all seen that in the news. Mr. Shakti Kanta Das. So, he was also a former secretary to the government. He was part of the 15th Finance Commission. We also have Mr. Ramesh Chand, who is a member of Niti Aayog, also a member of Finance Commission, 15th Finance Commission. Mr. Anup Singh, adjunct professor of Georgetown University in USA. He was also part of the 15th Finance Commission. We have Mr. Ashok Lahiri, is a non-executive part-time chairman of Bandhan Bank. So, my dear students, these are the members of the 15th Finance Commission, which was constituted in November 2017, and they have submitted their report. Now, we are moving to the 16th Finance Commission, and we are expecting the 16th Finance Commission to be appointed anytime soon by the Parliament, by the President of India. Now, what we are going to study now, India has so far had 15 Finance Commissions. As you can see, the year of establishment of the Finance Commission is provided for your understanding. The chairman of the Finance Commission is also given here very clearly, and the operational duration. So, which block of 5 years were they actually functioning, and their recommendations for that particular block of 5 years is provided for your understanding here. Now, why do we have this slide? Why have we named the chairpersons, the year of establishment and all these details? The most important thing from a competitive exam perspective also, while you are enrolled in this course on public financial administration, if you are preparing for civil service exams such as UPSC or your state public service commission exams, or you are preparing for any other central government exams, please do remember public financial administration forms a very important part of Indian polity, which may translate into questions. So, these are some details which may be very helpful for you. But also from a general learning perspective, very important to understand which year we had constituted these finance commissions. The first one, as you can see, after the enactment and adoption of the Indian Constitution, that is why we are celebrating our Republic Day, January 26, 1950. The Republic Day is celebrated only to commemorate the adoption of the Indian Constitution, the enforcement and enactment of the Indian Constitution. So, right after the Constitution has been enacted and enforced, we have the general elections which happened in 1951. We also have the first Financial Commission, which was formed in the year 1951. It was headed by K.C. Niyogi. The 5 years 1952 to 57, the Finance Commission gave its recommendations. Likewise, we have continuously had the Finance Commissions being appointed by the President of India. Now, one more important takeaway that I would like all of you to understand is that when you have a constitutional body like this, which has had continuity, meaning there is consistency in policy, there is stability in terms of continuity. These are 2 points that I would like you to have as takeaways from this particular module, the lecture that we are having today, because it is important to understand that merely on paper it is not good enough to have constitutional bodies. How are they functioning? Are they consistent? Is there continuity? This is very important to understand the polity of India from a public financial administration perspective. So, friends, the 14th Finance Commission, we had Dr. Y.V. Reddy. The 15th Commission, as we already saw, Dr. N.K. Singh. Their recommendations will run up to 2025-2026 financial year. So, we are right now in the middle of having the 16th Financial Commission. So, dear friends, students and all interested aspirants who are rolled on for this particular course, today we have discussed in detail the various dimensions of the most important constitutional body with regard to public finance in India, that is the Finance Commission of India. Dear students, this particular module we discussed about the role of Finance Commission in India, one of the most important constitutional bodies. Now, we are going to turn our focus taking the learning to testing what you have learned today. I will give you 2 mantras: watch, listen and test yourself. That is very, very important when you are signed up for an online course. So, now we are going to discuss some important frequently asked questions to brush up your memory on what we learned today. So, the first question, one of the most frequently asked question is generally, who is the chairman of the 15th Finance Commission? We already discussed in the previous slide, Mr. N.K. Singh. So, he was the chairman of the 15th Finance Commission. Again, if there is a question in which year it was constituted, the answer is November 2017. Now, let us see the second question in a frequently answered questions. What is the period of recommendation for the 15th Finance Commission? Now, it is very, very important to understand. At least remember the last 2 to 3 finance commissions and the number of years from and to the recommendations were provided for. This will be very, very helpful not only for the MOOC course that the test that you will be taking, the weekly assignment that you will be doing, it will also be helpful if you are already an aspirant for any other exams also. Now, here the question asks us about the recommendation for the 15th Finance Commission, and the recommendation is from 2021-22 to 2025-26. So, that is the second question for today. What is the Finance Commission? Now, if you are revising, the first thing that we should understand is what is the Finance Commission of India. Sometimes when we start learning and when we start going forward with the modules, we may actually miss the very simple questions. So, in order to understand what is the Finance Commission, please remember the first important point is it is a constitutional body, meaning it is provided, mentioned in Indian Constitution under Article 280. The President of India, after consultation with the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers, constitutes the Finance Commission every 5 years. So, not 10 years, not every year, it is every 5 years, and it is done separately, meaning it is an autonomous body. And the recommendations with regard to tax distribution, in other words, you can use the word tax devolution also. It is provided between the union and states and among the states also. See, for example, if you buy a particular bill, all of us will see the GST. Now, the GST will be split into 2. It will be CGST and it will be SGST. Central GST, states GST. The central GST is the centre's share that will go directly to the undivisible pool. The state GST goes into the divisible pool. Now, based on that, among the states there will be a distribution, and the overall revenue will be distributed between the center and the state government. So, there are horizontal distribution and a vertical distribution also. Now, this is provided by the Finance Commission. So, the formula, the method is provided by the Finance Commission. Let us see another question. What is the qualification for the chairman of the Finance Commission? So, most important, Parliament establishes the qualifications. So, it is not the President of India, he appoints them, but who provides the qualifications that can be updated next for the 16th Finance Commission. Maybe the qualifications of the chairman may be different. The Parliament can provide additional qualifications also, but currently someone with experience in public affairs should serve as the chairperson for the Finance Commission. Now, let us look at some multiple choice questions also from an exam point of view in order to understand and test our knowledge. Remember my mantra which I told you, watch, listen and test. So, let us see the multiple choice questions. Which one of the following institutions will lay down the basic principles for the distribution of the net proceeds of the taxes between the union and states? The question may be very confusing for you, but I would like to break it down. So, they literally talk about tax distribution. Now, which is the body which does tax distribution? That is the essence of the question. There are 4 options. Option A, Planning Commission, it is not there anymore, and anyway even till it was there it did not do this function. We have National Development Council, absolutely no. You read the name, you may not be aware of National Development Council at all, that is totally fine. The name itself suggests Development Council. So, it has nothing to do with finance. That is the trick for you to eliminate the option. Finance Commission, Union Ministry of Finance. Most of us will get confused between option C and option D. but the correct answer is Finance Commission. Okay. Next question. The main functions of Finance Commission is to determine the part of states in central taxes and to determine the principles of financial aid given by center to states. Financial control over states, I do not think so. You cannot control public finance, that is not the essence of our Indian constitution. Option C, financial control over central, sounds very extreme. Generally in multiple choice questions, one of the trick is elimination trick, another trick is strong statements generally are not the correct answers. So, I am giving you easy tips also for your competitive exams and for public financial administration. D, none of the above. The correct answer is A, that is the main function of Finance Commission. Let us see another question. See, I told you we saw the list of the chairpersons, the list of 15 finance commissions. This comes in handy when we now have a question like this. All these questions are previous year questions which were asked in various competitive exams, which I have compiled for the reference of all of you. Who was the chairman of the 12th Finance Commission? A. M. Khusro, K. C. Pant, Montek Singh and C. Rangarajan. The answer is option D. Who among the following was the chairman of the 14th Finance Commission? Again a repeat question. Shantakumar, C. Rangarajan, Y. V. Reddy, none of the above. The answer is Y. V. Reddy. Let us see one more question. Again a very basic question. Sometimes we may get very confused about this particular point. The Finance Commission is constituted for a period of 4 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. The correct answer is 5 years. So, thank you students, aspirants and all those who are following this particular course on public financial administration in this MOOC platform. Very happy to have shared my thoughts and expertise on Finance Commission of India. So, I hope this particular module was very helpful for you and I hope it brought a lot of information and a lot of thoughts which I shared with you on the various dimensions of the Indian Finance Commission, one of the most important constitutional bodies to be constituted in India. So, thank you so much for joining me today in the MOOC course on public financial administration. See you in another module. Thank you.